Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince.
The fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms, is what makes it so relevant to where we are today.
What these two actresses have to say about the upcoming Disney remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, titled more simply Snow White, is wrong. What they have to say is wrong because the people who are running the Disney studios today are doing wrong. They're taking a beloved story, a 1937 cartoon, which everyone loves, and they're exploiting it and using it and twisting it for their own political purposes and nothing else. Rachel Zegler at left plays Snow White. Gal Gadot at right plays the Evil Queen. Ziggler is 23 years of age and Gadot is 39. While it would be possible for them to have some wisdom, they unfortunately have none to share. They are merely parroting the woke excuse for this movie to have been created, which is to take a famous and trusted, or rather iconic name, and cash it in for a few dollars while using it to promote the woke ideology. Snow White was straight, Christian, harmless, and she loved everybody she came into contact with. Because she was loved by all the good people and even the animals she knew. And yes, she wanted a prince, and she got her prince. The woke mob that has infested Hollywood hates all of these things. They could have made a perfect live-action copy of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They could have made an entirely new movie with a new story and a new name. No. They hate tradition, and they want to go back in time and wipe it all out and pretend it never existed. The Disney studio of today, which is choosing to do this, works with a producer, a director, actors, actresses, screenwriter, everybody who are agreeing to produce this monstrosity. The problem is, Rachel Zegler is just being a little too public by saying the quiet parts out loud. That's gonna hurt business. Disney is still standing by her. Maybe after the movie is released, they will be done with her because she's just saying too much. At least she's being honest about the bold contempt that the studio and everybody working on this movie have for the original work of art. I know that people have short attention spans, so let me tell you how I'm going to do this reaction. I intended to make my case by going through the entire original movie from 1937 in less time than it takes to go through it, with a bunch of still photographs and making my case and proving everything that I have to say. Then I was going to react to the first Disney trailer. Now, Disney has released a second trailer, and it's getting close to the month that the movie is going to be released in. So, I'll tell you right now, before you click off, because you don't like a lot of talking, I am going to instead react to the first trailer immediately. Then I'm going to make my case, my argument, in the second part of this. And then the last, third part of this reaction will react to the second official trailer. So please stick with it. I will make my argument, and I will prove to you that the original movie was a beautiful work of art and cannot be improved upon. It's not being made better by removing the love from the Snow White character and making her some sort of aggressive boss. Even though this trailer is only 2.5 minutes long, you get a lot from it. How do you like the first little bit of music? Yeah, horrible. And keep in mind that as Ziggler is making this movie, she's thinking to herself all the way through it, while she's speaking all of the horrible script, we're just gonna take a giant shit all over that fucking Snow White movie, put it in its place, and this will redefine what Snow White is for the 21st century. That's what she's thinking when she's making every scene of this piece of garbage.
This was my father's kingdom.
That is surprising such a word was ever said. Kingdom. It's the patriarchy. Don't worry. Even though I haven't seen this movie, they get rid of the king real fast. I mean, he dies in the original story anyway. That's why the evil stepmother takes over everything. It's just, this guy's probably got a running time of like a minute and a half. And this is how they've fucked with the original story. Apparently he told Snow White to be a great, brave, champion, fearless leader, which is not in the original German folklore, and it's not in the original Walt Disney cartoon from 1937. So the story's already been fucked with right from the start.
A place of fairness. But the Queen changed everything.
Take him away!
Your Majesty,
What did you say?
the people need some kindness.
So do you get it? Instead of Snow White, who represents innocence, purity, fragility, love, all that good stuff, having to flee all this evil and then eventually triumphing in a different way, this is going to be like a direct confrontation sort of a deal, where Snow White is now an aggressive hero. It's not Snow White anymore. It's just Snow White in name only. That's what it is. It's just another shitty CGI movie.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
There is a Disney name. Let me tell you a couple things. Walt Disney was a big right-winger. If he were alive today, he would delete this pile of shit and he would burn every print and ban any theater from showing it. He would do that to preserve the legacy of his original work of art. He would not have it spoiled and sullied by what they're doing right now. Furthermore, this movie relies very much on CGI. The original movie had a powerful look to it. This has got a washed out look to it. That's because, if you're not familiar with it, all the CGI backgrounds are a green or a blue screen, and there's like a stick or something else with a bit of chewing gum on it that the actors look at, and that's where they draw in, with the computer, the dwarves and pretty much everything else.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
The original Magic Mirror voice from the 1937 cartoon was just great, and it cannot be improved upon. The one that you're listening to now has been heavily processed with digital trickery. They've got all this shit available, and they use it, thinking that, you know, we're going to take a good performance from this guy, whoever he is, and we're going to make it even better. We're going to put it on steroids. We're going to make it so amazing. It's all over the top. It's all digital trickery, and there's no connection to soul with it like you have with the original work. By the way, the original work was the first full-length cartoon feature film, and Disney bet the farm on it. It was a huge risk, and whether you like him or not for his politics, he put everything on the line to bring you all that beautiful artwork back then. He should be respected for it. This is shit what they're doing right now.
Is thy beauty, Majesty, but a lovely maiden I now behold.
I look at you, and I just want to be the fairest of them all.
What do you think of that horrible music? It's all too much. It's all over the top. This is a tiny trailer, so let me run that a few times so you appreciate how bad it is.
The fairest of them all.
The Queen is evil.
First thing, I am not racist. With all the criticisms I have of this horrible remake, including all the rotten things that Rachel Zegler has had to say about the original 1937 cartoon, the fact that she's Latina doesn't bother me. I didn't even know until I started finding out more about this horrible production. You could do a shot-for-shot live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and have it played by Rachel, Latina, and that would be great. It could be a live-action complimentary piece to the original cartoon. So what's my problem with this black actor? I don't have any problem with him. I just imagine somebody with a little more weight, like Morgan Freeman. I loved him in Batman and The Shawshank Redemption. They could have written a fresh part, a new character for a black actor to have. In keeping with the original story, this is a German folktale, and there's no way that a black guy is going to be working with the royal family in that story. So you could say, like, well, what's the matter? Are you racist? Do you resent that there's a black guy having anything to do with this thing at all? No, it's like back in the 1970s in the big three American television networks. They would write in a token character. So not only does it not fit with the original story, and they are rewriting things, if they're going to have a black guy in it, then they should have written a better role for a black actor to have. And another thing, black people should be pissed off because what I can tell so far, this is the only black representation in the movie, and he's being asked to go do a dirty errand. You know, he's like the servant role. It's like, go kill Snow White. Here's your orders and bring her back her heart. So he's in like a subservient role anyway. So it's not that there's a black guy in it. There could have been a better role for him to play. It just shows no imagination. That's my criticism of it. They got a tiny role, and so they say, let's just do it like back in the 1970s. Let's just be politically correct, and we'll have one token black actor in the whole thing. So it just shows no imagination. I don't have any problem with the black guy in the movie. I have a problem with the rewrite. So it's the lack of imagination is what I have a problem with.
Let's flee into the woods.
Do you notice how everything looks washed out? That it doesn't pop like the original cartoon? The original cartoon pops because it was drawn by human artists and it was presented with Technicolor. Okay? And I'll get to that when I go through the entire movie and make my argument for why it can't be approved upon. This is just weak CGI. The whole forest there, the animals, everything, all of it is fake, and it affects the movie, and it's just been done too quickly. It's just, well, how do we put this pile of shit together? Just CGI. Move it out. Get it out the fucking door. It's like something that should have been for Disney Plus. It's like you make it in a couple of months and ship it out and just consume it and forget about it.
My parents always said this forest was a magical place.
Not with you in it, and all your hate for the true Snow White story. Notice how where she's looking or where the bird is don't line up exactly. That's what happens when you rush something and you're using CGI and you think it's going to be perfect because the computer's... No, there's no soul, there's no care with it. It just sort of misses the mark if you're not going to put the work in. I'll run it a couple times. How do you like that horrible music, huh? Digitally enhanced? It's crap. It can't hold a candle to the original all-analog recording of the 1937 cartoon. Let's keep moving. Washed out, cheap CGI. Nothing pops here.
Hello? Is there anybody here?
No, there is not. All the cute animals from the original cartoon are not part of this production. It's just you glowing because of the bad green screen work, a bunch of CGI, and a bunch of computer models that are substituted for animals. It's all got no soul. Yes, the dwarves themselves. They're fucked. And because there's 7 of them, they've been fucked 7 times over. Yes, they are scary. And before I get into them, I'm going to remind you about the Puttermans. Probably you don't remember the Puttermans. That's because it was a failed advertising campaign from Duracell, which ran from about 1994 to 1996. And let me just give you 30 seconds of them. Go.
Meet the Puttermans. Just your typical suburban family. Well, sort of. They do typical suburban things.
Todd's working here.
Don't remind me.
And enjoy typical family activities.
Everybody using Duracell batteries?
Makes you wonder, who are they?
Silly question.
What the fuck is that? Is it a vinyl puppet that you operate with your hand? Is it a robot? Is it a human actor wearing some sort of prosthetic that is strangely removed from any other prosthetic you've ever seen before? Is it a combination of all of them put together? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. They're just fucking creepy. And somehow it got through the advertising company, and Duracell approved it, and they tried to give it to people for a couple of years, and they probably only achieved success for the cute pink Energizer Bunny to rule thereafter. The fucking Puttermans. Scary. Creepy. And that's exactly what the fucking CGI dwarves are! The original dwarves were a perfect mixture of maturity and cuteness. They were adorable. And for this live-action remake, at least they could have sought out 7 adorable, attractive, real dwarf actors to portray these characters. And it would have been a great opportunity for the dwarf community to participate in the portrayal of 7 distinct roles as dwarves in pretty much the most famous movie that includes dwarves that I can think of. And so they got screwed because CGI is easier to manage. I don't know. This is what they went with. It's another reason to be creeped out by this fucking movie. Those dwarves are not adorable, and because they're CGI, they have no soul, and they've been programmed quickly. They're not lifelike. It's Doc, the lead dwarf, is going to recoil in horror away from Snow White, as played by Rachel Zegler. And as he's running away, it's like he's gliding. He's been animated so fucking poorly. And the rest of the dwarves, CGI too, are dog shit. So I'm going to run this little bitty bit back and forth a few times so you get a taste of how revolting these CGI dwarves are. It gets worse. These 3 quick shots of the dwarves peering at Snow White from hidden places is meant to suggest playful mischief. However, because the dwarves are fucking scary, this just feels creepy and scary.
It's a human.
What did you think I was?
Let me take a guess. Monster? Witch, skank, liar, toxic narcissist, hack, box office poison, any of those? And then the dwarfs are going to show how unfunny they are, and they'll say, nothing, ghost.
Nothing. Ghost.
Are you enjoying the artificial, created by computer, fake, so-called Disney magic of this woman who hates the original Snow White and is working together with the monsters that run the Disney studio these days to wipe out their own history and make a couple easy bucks while they're doing it? And she's barely keeping track of where they're telling her the computer model behind her is right now. That's all she has to keep track of. Like the other dwarf behind him, you know, none of it is there. They just put a stick and a piece of bubble gum on it and say, that's where that dwarf is, okay? So walk around that and then we'll draw it in later with the computers. So she's only thinking about the one that's directly behind her. All the rest, they didn't bother telling her where they are, so there's no soul and no interaction. Like, back with The Empire Strikes Back, and Mark Hamill would interact with Frank Oz playing Yoda, they were actually making contact with each other. That's why it worked. And, you know, with a movie like this, which is just about using the name to make a cheap buck and to erase the history and the significance of the earlier proper work of art, they just rush it and you get shit such as this.
You'll be safe from the Queen here.
The Queen stole everything from all of us. We're gonna need your help.
To say that these CGI dwarves look like mannequins would be doing a disservice to mannequins, because some mannequins can look properly posed and dressed, somewhat lifelike, and they do a good job in the display windows of department stores, and they can be inspiring in a way. These CGI dwarves, which probably cost like $1 million each for every 15 minutes they look dead. I'll just leave them here. You can get garden gnomes at a department store during the season in the gardening department that have more pizzazz and sparkle to them than these fucking DGI dwarves. They're horrible. And I had to get ahead of myself because I was going to do like my big argument and then I was going to play the reaction. Just that Disney came out with another preview, so I had to move things around a little bit. When I get to my argument, I'm going to say later on that I've got 2 pop culture references that nobody else has got. So I'm going to actually do them now. So when you hear me say about them, you know, later on, I'm going to do them now. Dopey. Okay? Dopey in the original movie is adorable, right? He's a couple of steps behind. He never speaks. He's the most loved. He's adorable. And here, he looks like a cross between Alfred E. Newman. Please subscribe to my channel because I'm the only one that's made this comparison. You're welcome. And Howdy fucking Doody. And Howdy Doody scares me. Well, I'm sure he scares you too. So they've taken the most adorable of the lot and made him especially scary. What the fuck is this garbage?
It's time to restore our kingdom.
Really? Why would you want to do that? Because that would be restoring the patriarchy. Actually, even though we don't know what's going to happen in the movie just yet, one evil queen is going to be replaced by another evil queen. So there won't be any patriarchy. She's going to install herself as an evil queen, which is probably how it's going to go. Rachel Zegler also sings. And there's going to be singing in this movie, unfortunately. And I only wish that I could just play for you a nice big clip of the original singing from Snow White from the 1937 cartoon. It's just so sweet and beautiful. I don't know what to say. So, with these Disney modern movies, everybody's trying to be Whitney Houston or the winner of one of those talent TV shows. And there's only one Whitney Houston, and unfortunately she has passed. And everybody is trying to go to that same place of singing the national anthem or another big Whitney hit, and it's all that style of music all the time. And that's all that Rachel can do. I'm going to give you a clip of her without processing, and then you're going to get some of the horrible singing from Rachel Zegler, which is just this over-the-top, auto-tuned, disgusting, saccharine, just, anyway, I'll let it speak for itself. Here's a little bit of Rachel Zegler, a cappella for the most part, and then you're going to get some horrible music that features Rachel in the actual movie itself.
Gimme, gimme. Gimme, gimme.
no, it is not really from Disney. Walt Disney had to fight like a tiger to get the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs made and released. And like I said earlier, he was a big right-winger. And the politics aside, he delivered a beautiful work of art. That wasn't a disposable cartoon, that was a work of art. And if he were alive today, he would delete this horrible remake and burn every print of it. There is the man himself in February of 1939 at the Academy Awards receiving an honorary award for his work on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's being presented to him by Shirley Temple, and not only did he get an award, there were also 7 extra dwarf-size awards to go with it. They had to do something to recognize the achievement of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And you remember that as we carry on with the criticism of the piece of garbage remake that's going to be released this year.
Holding out for someday, hoping somehow.
Are you feeling anything for this CGI garbage? The original movie had human artists drawing the dwarves as a perfect combination of being adorable and grown men at the same time. The Disney studios of today with this live-action remake have decided not to give these roles to real human dwarf actors. They go with CGI. So the models get drawn, they get shaded, and then they just get manipulated. And you can do something fantastic, such as this. The little mining cart is about to fall off the rails, and we're supposed to feel so invested for it. It's crap, and I know that I'm getting in the way of the music. Look, don't click off yet. I'm gonna criticize this properly, and then I'll run the music uninterrupted, okay? There's just too much to criticize right now. The horrible music from Rachel Zegler, I'll let it run after I'm done criticizing all of this. There is the prince! And there's a reason why he looks like a marshmallow. It's because this ain't no love story. And it's the story of Snow White being an aggressive hero. In which case, you might as well just have made a whole fucking new movie. Just call it Some Chick with a Weird Haircut Who's Gonna Be a Hero and Take Back a Kingdom. And just start new. It's not Snow White anymore. They raised the classic story. Yes, the classic story. Ruined. It's not the classic story anymore. That's why this man looks like a marshmallow. He's not gonna be heroic in any sense of the word. He's a side issue.
Find Snow White.
The classic story comes to life. What an insult. The classic story was already alive. It was already loved. You cannot improve upon it by turning it into live action, especially when you spoil the story. Like I just said, you might as well just start it all over again. Chick with a weird haircut does something to take over a kingdom. Leave it at that. It's not Snow White anymore with this production. There it is, the average 21st century, totally over-the-top, bombastic, overdone, digitally sweetened soundtrack music. And because Rachel Zegler, oh boy, double threat, acts and sings, we get her singing this shit. If only I could just get you, no matter what, to go back and run the real Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and hear the sweet voice provided by Snow White when she's singing. This attempts to beat the old stuff by just being so over the top. Like I said, it's like a moment for those talent show TV productions. By the way, the audience responses are sweetened. Okay, when you hear everybody going nuts, yeah, that's the audio is being sweetened. Yeah. And then the dummies who are judging, they all slowly stand up and begin doing this very dramatic standing ovation. That's what they're going for. It's loud and it's overdone, it's auto-tuned, and it can't hold a candle to the sweetness of the original. This fucking garbage. And she's in the middle of saying, "The girl I meant to be." There's nothing wrong with having a strong female character. It's just, they should have just started over with another movie. This is not Snow White. They think that they're improving on it. The girl I meant to be. The girl I meant to be. Alright, so she's gonna take over the fucking kingdom. She's an aggressive boss. That's not what Snow White is about.
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying?
That is the movie. It's a fight between two women for the royal seat of power. That's it. And I guess the excuse is we're going to take this soft Snow White character and we're going to jazz her up and make her modern and she's going to be a real boss. Why not just make an oldie-worldy sort of movie and have two women fight over a kingdom and just go and have fun and do that? Why do they have to destroy the beloved Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to do it? This is a piece of shit. Do you think she's really riding that horse? Do you know how difficult it is to get a perfect shot like that when somebody's on a horse? And how much risk it is to have the main star maybe fall off a horse and break her back? Forget it. She's jumping up and down on a cushion in a studio somewhere in front of a green screen. Then they drag the camera through a forest somewhere and put it all together. She's no boss.
I'm sorry, my dear.
We get a jump scare from the CGI version of Dopey, who is normally the most adorable of the Seven Dwarfs. Yes, it's Alfred E. Newman again. He's wearing gemstones for sunglasses. I don't know what's going on there. And the thing is, this guy is more frightening than the evil queen herself.
Did I frighten you?
Not at all. You're just like an old lady with back problems. It's not that big of a deal. It's the CGI dwarf that looks like Howdy Doody who is scaring us. With that moment, please remember that the only poison being offered is by the Disney Studios itself. And that poison is their horrible, woke remake of a beautiful story. So avoid it at the box office. If you want it at all, just wait until it gets shuffled off to Disney Plus, because you won't have to wait long. We have a scary and repulsive CGI dwarf topped by an equally unappealing squirrel that would have been easy to have been offered as cute. How do they manage to fuck this up? Do you see what I mean? CGI with all of its fake attitude cannot hold a candle to real cute squirrels drawn by wonderful Disney artists more than 80 years ago. That is the last moment of the first trailer, and it's a perfect way to end it, because we are offered a smug, toxic narcissist filled with undeserved satisfaction at what she and everybody else associated with this project did, which is they took something beautiful and good and they deliberately shat all over it to make another woke production that nobody asked for about a girl boss. And they didn't have enough imagination of their own to create their own old world story about a girl boss. They had to go in there and say Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is wrong. Faith, love, a traditional relationship, all of that, it has to be shit upon and remade into this aggressive girl boss movie. And they're going to make money on it because it has Snow White in the title. And the way that you get even with them is you ignore it when it's released at the box office. Tell everybody you know it's garbage. And I did say I was going to run you the horrible music from Rachel Zegler. I'm going to. It's just that there's so much copyrighted stuff here that I'm not going to make a nickel. And I think this is the best criticism because it's the longest. The most popular thing on YouTube right now are the shorts. And this is huge. And it's got a diminished chance of people going through the whole thing. However, they'll watch 15 other shorter criticisms, so I think this is the best one out there. If you know a better one, put it in the comments, please. So, I'm not going to make any money on this, and please give this a like. So that will tell the algorithm to recommend it to others. So, let's play uninterrupted the horrible singing from Rachel Zegler.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way, there comes a miracle.
Find Snow White.
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying.
Okay, now I am going to return to the original 1937 Walt Disney cartoon, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I'm going to go through the whole thing, right from Disney Plus, running the movie. It's going to be a real-time, so to speak, analysis, and I just grab the still pictures using my phone, and hey, it's half an hour long. So if you hate this remake as much as I do, and instead of watching a whole bunch of shorts, and instead of watching, like, criticisms that go on for like 10 or 15 or maybe 20 minutes in total, if you love the original work and hate what the current Disney studios are doing to it, then please follow along. Everything that Rachel Zegler has to say about the prince being a stalker and being weird, they're all fucking lies, with this analysis that proves that they are lies. So it's half an hour if you want it. Please hang around for it. You don't have to do it all in one day or even 2 days or 3. This is going to get published March 1st. So we got 20 days. So you'll know everything you need to know to tell everybody that you know to stay away from this horrible remake. And if you have any curiosity about it, just let it go to Disney Plus. Don't go to the theaters for it. Here's the analysis starting now. There she is, the justifiably despised Rachel Zegler, star of the upcoming Disney movie Snow White, which is an unwanted, unneeded live-action and CGI remake of their truly classic 1937 animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm going to react to the official trailer, which runs for about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And before we get there to do that, I'm going to give you some backstory so you really appreciate just how horrible a human this woman is. By the way, when we get to the actual reaction to the official trailer, I know lots of people have already done it. There are 2 pop culture references in it with my reaction that nobody else has going for it, as of at least now. So I hope this will hold your attention while we get to that reaction. However, I did promise you a backstory, and you're going to get the backstory. This story goes back to at least the early 1800s. It is a German folklore story, fairy tale, so it's evolved over quite a long time. And the Brothers Grimm were a couple of academics who took an interest in folklore, and they gather folklore and they refine it and they published it. And so it's at least from the early 1800s, a German folklore story. So what is that story? I'm going to try to tell it to you from memory, one take. So I'm not a scholar on this. It's just, I know you're not going to want to look at a still picture for very long before you'll start clicking off. So here's the story. So the mother wishes for a daughter, beautiful with red lips, white skin, and black hair. And she gets what she wants. And she dies in childbirth. And so the father, the king, remarries, and she's a beautiful woman, yet she's vain, and she practices witchcraft. She resents Snow White, and she treats her poorly, and somewhere along the line, the father dies, and so it's just the wicked stepmother, and Snow White's being treated like crap, and she plots to kill her because the magic mirror from her witchcraft tells her that that's the fairest in the land, and so she plots to kill her, and she sends a woodsman. Look how dark this gets. In the original story, she wanted her woodsman hunter guy to murder Snow White and bring back her lungs and her liver so she can eat it with salt. That is so gross. And, you know, in the tarted up version, it's like, oh, bring me her heart and put it in this box. So he refuses to do that, and she runs into the woods. She finds the dwarfs, and they make a deal. They'll protect her, and she cleans up the house like that.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Ziggler has a bold contempt for the original movie, which she shares publicly. She delights in mocking the original work of art as she promotes this dog's breakfast of a CGI woke update live action mess, which is what she is part of. She's 23 years of age, and she's acting as if she has wisdom, and she does not. It's possible for somebody to have wisdom at the age of 23, yet she is not one of those people. She portrays the original movie as being square and backward and effed up. So, what of the original movie? I can't get screen grabs and clips by going to Disney Plus and going through it, so I'm gonna go through the original movie. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by Disney Plus. And I recommend that you go ahead and do that yourself, just to remind yourself of the original movie. So, using pictures that I've taken off the screen with my phone, I'm going to pull you through the original movie, because you're going to get the full backstory. That way you'll really appreciate how effed up this woman is with her opinions on the original work of art. And it's so sad that she gets to be part of this, and she has just contempt for the original work. So we are going to go through the entire movie in just a few minutes. To reiterate, what I wanted to do was go through it and make little screen grab movies and do screen grab pictures, yet Disney is such a big, powerful corporation that it works with Apple Computer, and my computer is not allowed to do that, so I have to take pictures off the phone to do this, and it's the best way to do it, to go through the movie, to defend it. And the quality of the pictures is only a little bit off. It's still more than good enough. So we're starting here. Once upon a time, we got the evil queen. The magic mirror is telling her that she's no longer the fairest in the land, and the queen starts to have evil designs upon her stepdaughter, Snow White. Here is the original magic mirror, and it's fine the way it is. It's drawn great. The voice acting is fabulous, and just keep that in mind when we tear apart the trailer for the updated version of the movie. They already did a great job with this magic mirror character. Great job. Here is the evil queen. You can't really improve on this. And, well, there she is. And let's keep moving. So this is the first scene with Snow White. And even though her wicked stepmother has begun to hate her because of her beauty and dresses her in rags and sets her to manual labor most of the time, Snow White's beauty and spirit are not affected by it. And she's at the well drawing water so she can scrub the castle, and to her it's a wishing well. And she's made friends with the birds, and the birds love her, and she's singing in a beautiful voice into the wishing well about finding the one who loves her today. Now, remember what Rachel Zegler had to say about the prince being a stalker, and that he's weird, and it's all outdated and all the rest of that garbage. There is the prince. And guess how he gets into the story? I'm giving it to you right from the movie itself. Okay? He overhears her singing, wanting to find her love today, and he climbs over the fence, and he walks over and says hello. That's it. She gets a little bit startled. She runs back into the castle. He doesn't put a hand on her. He doesn't chase after her. He keeps a respectful distance, and he takes off his hat and sings to her for about a couple of minutes, which she enjoys. Then he leaves. This is the weird stalker that Rachel was talking about. And it's just not true. She's wishing for a prince. A prince happens by, says hello. She gets a little bit startled, and that's it. There's no weird, evil, twisted stalking going on. That's how Hollywood is these days. It just lies, and it has hatred for normal love of a prince for a princess. They've got a problem with it. They take it as something evil and twisted and weird. All he did was say hello, and she got a little startled. There's nothing wrong with any of this. And, yeah, so he sang for a bit, and then he left. We now jump forward a little bit, because as I said, we're going to do this in a matter of minutes. The woodsman has been sent by the evil queen to murder Snow White, and he couldn't do it. And not only could he not do it, he tells Snow White what the evil queen is trying to do, and tells Snow White, you gotta run away. And so Snow White runs into the forest to get away from the evil queen, and all the animals love her, including my favorite, the squirrels. And she says, I can't, sleep in a tree like you guys, so does anybody know where I could go? And they say, yeah, there's a tiny little house hidden away in the forest, and we'll take you to it. And, of course, that's where the Seven Dwarfs are. And there they are. And please note that Doc is the leader of the bunch for the most part. So the animals take Snow White to the house of the Seven Dwarfs, and she talks to the animals, and she takes a guess that they're children because everything is dwarf-sized. And she says, why does their mother leave the place in such a mess? Then she figures out that they might not have a mother, they're orphans, and the animals say yes. So Snow White approaches this as a household of orphaned children, and she immediately takes on the role of mother for everybody without ever even meeting them. So with the help of the animals, she cleans up the whole place, and everybody gets very tired, and she goes to sleep in the dwarfs' beds. She has to take up 3 of them because they're dwarf-sized. And the animals are sleeping there too, and then the dwarves show up, and they all meet each other, and she learns that they're actually grown men. They just happen to be dwarves, and they all, agree that she can stay there because she offers to clean the place up, and she also offers to cook, which is a huge deal for them because none of them can cook worth a darn. And so there she is, like she's doing the cooking and the cleaning, and they protect her from the evil queen, and everything is working out in a traditional way, which is why Hollywood of today hates this so much. They also hate that she brings order and care and love and joy to everybody, and these 7 grown dwarf men all appreciate it. So everybody is happy and respecting each other, and it's all working. It also works for all the animals who love Snow White, and they help out too, and they also like to be around the house, and that includes my favorites, the squirrels. It works for everyone. It has been a long day with a lot of work and a lot of making friends. The dwarves understand that Snow White is the type of person that loves everybody. The animals are loved too. And she's going to finish it off by singing this song. Yes, here it is. She's going to do it. Someday my prince will come. I turned the captions on, so you would get it 100% legitimate. Now, what I'm about to say next is not meant to offend any of the alphabet people. I've dealt with that on this channel many times throughout the years, and everybody do whatever you need to do. And we should all just accept everybody. It's all well and good. I don't have any hate towards anybody. It's just that this is a straight woman dreaming about a prince. And this idea is hated these days. And accepting everybody should accept this straight woman dreaming about a prince. It should be accepted too. Of course, modern day Hollywood would prefer it if she were to sit all the dwarves down and say, I have something special to tell you. I have 3 different genders at the same time, and it's okay. And on weekends, I identify as a footstool, and I really mean it, and I want everybody to call me a footstool on weekends and to follow my 3 different gender identities whenever I raise them. Do you all understand? Now, she's singing, Someday my prince will come. And all the dwarves are enthralled, except for Grumpy, who's a little bit standoffish. Yet he loves her too, as they all do. And the animals love it too. And it's just been a fabulous day. Great success. And it's time for bed. And Doc, as I told you earlier, who is pretty much the leader most of the time, acts like a perfect gentleman. And he surrenders the top floor where they have all their little beds just for Snow White. Because she's a lady. So he takes control and says, that's it. You have the top floor to yourself. And then she says, oh, really? Are you sure? Of course. We'll be comfortable here. He's a dwarf, yet he's still a grown man. He's a perfect gentleman. And he takes the lead and gives the top floor, all of it, to Snow White. While none of us have seen the movie yet, we can be guaranteed that this scene from the original 1937 cartoon is not going to be part of it. Snow White, with the privacy of the floor given to her by the dwarves, takes a moment to pray before retiring. She asks for God to bless the 7 little men who have been so kind to her, for her dreams to come true, and for Grumpy to like her. That will not be part of the new movie. And this moment is also why modern Hollywood hates the original movie so much. This tiny scene of Snow White taking a moment to pray. What if you don't believe in God? Well, at least she's grateful to the men who have been so kind to her. She's wishing for her dreams to come true, which is the prince. And she even takes an extra moment to wish for Grumpy to like her. No matter how you look at it, this is a beautiful moment of faith, of gratitude, and it will not be in the new movie. That is guaranteed. By now, the evil queen has found out that Snow White was not assassinated, and she resolves to do it personally. She uses witchcraft to change her appearance, and she prepares a poison apple which carries with it a sleeping death. She selects this mode because she is certain that the dwarves will not be able to know what's happening, and that they will take Snow White under the sleeping poison and will bury her alive. The Evil Queen represents irredeemable bad seed evil. There are just some people who are like that. The more chances you give them, the more opportunities they have to keep destroying and causing harm. Remember that for later on in the story. Here's a scene which says a lot about how evil this character is. Having changed herself and taking the poison apple and on her way to murder Snow White, she happens upon a skeleton in her dungeon, and there are many of them who have been tortured and starved to death. She finds one who died reaching for a pitcher of water long ago. As she passes by, she says, "Thirsty? Have a drink." And she kicks the empty pitcher towards the remains, and they all shatter to pieces. This thing is supremely evil. And again, remember that for later on in the story. The leader of the dwarves, Doc, warns Snow White that the evil queen uses witchcraft and to beware of any strangers. Snow White says that she will, yet the more good a person is, it often makes them an easier target. Snow White may have been expecting some sort of monster, and she takes pity instead on the old hag bringing the apple. She talks to her and makes the mistake of trusting, and she takes some of the poison apple. Walt Disney doesn't show us the moment at which she is poisoned. He only gives us the hand and the apple with a bite taken from it. For all intents and purposes, Snow White is now dead. The animals sensed that the stranger was evil and tried to intervene. Snow White felt pity for the disguise of the old hag and pushed them away. There wasn't anything else they could do on their own, so they all raced to get the dwarves to come back to the house to help. Of course, they arrived too late. Grumpy, who had been standoffish about Snow White, really loved her just as much as all the other dwarves, and now he's showing his true good colors. He arrived at the house first. Grumpy is also the dwarf to lead the charge to go after the evil queen. What we have here is something that will not exist in the updated version of Snow White, which is righteous male fury. Although the dwarfs are short and they dress cute, which makes them appear adorable most of the time, it has already been spoken to earlier in the movie that they are men. And having lost Snow White, knowing who did it, they are on a mission to band together and kill the evil queen. They're not on their way to talk about her feelings or take her to a trial. They know who did it, and they're out to kill her. They're armed, and they're facing an adversary who practices witchcraft. They might get killed. They don't care. This is the same proper, admirable male fury that will inspire men to take on doomsday missions, to be suicide bombers in times of war, not to care about themselves, yet only to do what is right. This is not toxic masculinity. This is righteous, proper, good, and beautiful. Even Dopey, 2 steps behind as usual, is still giving his all, heading in the same direction to kill the evil queen. This is the same righteous male fury that allows a man to storm a beach against impossible odds, or during peacetime to run straight into a burning building. He's going to accomplish his goal or die trying. The evil queen is cornered at the edge of a cliff. Instead of beginning to beg for mercy or forgiveness, she then turns to a boulder which she's trying to dislodge as she shouts, "I'll fix ya. I'll crush your bones." Would that boulder have effectively wiped out all 7 of the dwarfs? Maybe they would have gotten past it. Maybe 2 of them would have gotten past it. What could happen next? At the last moment, God intervenes, or, if you prefer, Walt Disney intervenes with a bolt of lightning that splits the edge of the cliff and sends the evil queen to her death as the boulder she intended for the dwarves rolls back on top of herself. Please note the superiority of human-drawn artwork. Computer trickery can evolve more and more with the passage of time, yet it will never surpass real artwork drawn by a human hand. This 1-2 punch of having the lightning bolt and the boulder that the evil queen intended for the dwarves turn upon her to kill her saves the story from having the dwarves overtake the queen and beat her to death with clubs. Although that still would have been the right thing to do, the story has now been spared that, and the evil queen is dead. The vultures, who had been following the evil queen, looking forward to eating the remains of Snow White after she had murdered her, now, because there is no love, no respect, no loyalty, no friendship, no kindness, none of anything good and evil, now turn to eat the dead evil queen. The evil queen is dead and gone. Even though the evil queen is both dead and gone, the evil that she did is doing damage. All 7 of the dwarves are destroyed by grief. Snow White wasn't a leader or a boss. She simply brought love and joy to every person and every animal that she interacted with. People such as Snow White are the very best among us, and this beautiful story did not need to be rewritten. It is a sin and an outrage that it has been rewritten by the same studio that owns it. The animals are also included, suffering the loss of Snow White. Remember what the evil queen wanted to do. Instead of killing Snow White outright, she wanted to poison her with a sleeping death, because she expected the dwarves not to know the difference between death and a sleeping death poison. She wanted the dwarves themselves to be the ones who would take it a step further and bury Snow White alive. The evil queen didn't count on love. The dwarves couldn't bring themselves to bury Snow White. They did do their best. They did the proper thing and gave her a coffin made of gold and glass, and they kept vigil, along with all the animals. Here is the prince. This is the character that Rachel Zegler referred to as the weird stalker, which were lies. He only met Snow White once, briefly. He never forgot her, and because he loved her, he never stopped looking for her. And now he's found her. To the prince's understanding, Snow White is dead. With permission from the dwarves, he approaches the coffin, and he's just going to give her a little kiss, and that's it. And I'm not going to show that. I've already shown so much of the movie just with these pictures, and I have to jump over a great deal of it. What I'm doing is defending the original work, and I'm speaking out against what bad people are doing by dismissing the original work as irrelevant when it is actually better than what they're trying to do right now. So I have to show you the whole movie. Yet I'm not going to show you the moment when he kisses her, because if you know the story already and you never bothered to get around to watching the movie, well, I hope you still watch it, the original one. So he's going to just give her a little kiss just once, and then we'll move on. After having kissed Snow White, the prince is immediately heartbroken because he loved her. He now joins the dwarves in their grief and the animals in their grief. The remake of Snow White, to be published March 21st, 2025, is going to portray Snow White as ferociously independent, a leader, a boss, and somebody who doesn't need a man or anyone else. In so doing, the producers of the remake clumsily and erroneously expect to be improving upon Snow White and making her better by making her stronger. What they don't get is that the original character is by far the stronger. By bringing love to everyone she interacted with, Snow White is the sort of woman for which men would willingly die for, without question. She is far more powerful than the remake is going to be. At this point, the movie would be too sad for anyone to want to consume it. However, we know how the story ends, at least the original story. Remember what Snow White said in her song about the prince. Someday we'll meet again. Remember that she prayed to God and asked that her dreams could come true. And now, because the prince loved her and she loved the prince, and no one gave up on anyone, and everybody kept faith, the witchcraft work of the evil queen is broken. Snow White awakens from her sleep. The prince that she wished and prayed for is there. The princess Snow White gets her prince. The prince gets his princess. The dwarves and the animals get their friend returned. Everything is restored to what it was before and better. Evil is not just defeated, it is obliterated. It literally ate itself and is gone. Everyone is strong, tried, tested, and true. Love saved the day. And that is the story. There's no more analysis left to do. That is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937. It was beautiful, magnificent, and it cannot be improved upon. The only thing that you could have done was to have made an exact copy of it using live action. And that's not what the Disney studios, or rather, what the people who hold it right now are going to do with their horrible, despicable remake. And now it's time to criticize this regrettable piece of garbage.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
That has nothing to do with the folklore story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. More importantly, it has nothing to do with the legendary 1937 Walt Disney cartoon. What they are doing is taking something beautiful just because they can, and they're going to destroy it and remake it in their own twisted image, which is the message that they want to share, that there are no genders, men don't need women, women don't need men, and Snow White is now going to be some sort of ball breaker. And they're doing it just because they can, because the studio holds the rights to the movie, and some sons of bitches at the top are going to let this happen. The movie is absolute fucking garbage, and I'm sorry to swear, yet I have to, because somebody who's going to provide some excellent commentary is going to swear anyway, and I don't want to bleep them out, so don't blame me, blame Megan. Actually, I love it what she's got to say. Megan, take it.
Her name is Rachel Zegler. Zegler? I don't know. Ziggler. Okay, there's something wrong with this person. She's also known as the star of Snow White and the Disney movie. Remember, she was out like a couple years ago being like, there's certainly not going to be a prince rescuing me. I can tell you that.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
And then even Disney got on its heels, and they're like, we're going to reshoot the movie immediately. Like, we're going to make some changes. Because there was so much backlash to her arrogance and just inanity. Well, she's back, and she's very, very upset about the Trump win. Okay, this is a post she made on X. Here's what she posted. And by the way, she's starring right now in Broadway's Romeo and Juliet, so don't go see that. Okay, she writes, I find myself speechless.
If Rachel finds herself to be speechless, then maybe she should take her own advice. Or, shortly thereafter, when she is speaking, after saying that she's speechless, she should try to make an effort to shut the fuck up.
In the midst of this, another 4 years of hatred leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in.
Donald Trump won the election despite having his campaign outspent by Kamala Harris's campaign and having the mainstream media against him for the entirety of the election, right up to the election day, when the mainstream media lied and said it was neck and neck. He received 77 million votes. And Rachel regards this as hatred and says it's part of a world she doesn't want to live in. If that's the way she feels, she's more than welcome to pack up and head out for a communist country. She can go live there. Oh, I guess she doesn't get millions of dollars there. Ah, okay. So I guess her strong feelings about hatred and a world she doesn't want to live in aren't strong enough for her to separate herself from millions of dollars for herself from the United States of America and the Trump administration.
Leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in.
Rachel Zegler is grandstanding and virtue signaling upon her daughter and a world that will now be difficult for her to raise her daughter in. There's only one catch. She doesn't have a daughter. No, seriously. The daughter she's talking about doesn't exist. She's upset about her daughter. She doesn't have a daughter. She doesn't even have, like, a doll. I don't even think she has any pets. So, yeah, it's a difficult world in which to raise her daughter. She has to worry about her daughter. She just doesn't have a daughter or a son. She doesn't have any kids. Just thought you'd like to know that part.
P.S. She has no daughter. She has no children at all. Leading us towards a world that will force her, who's her, your daughter who doesn't exist, okay, to have a baby she doesn't want.
So now, Rachel Zegler's imaginary daughter has just suffered an imaginary rape. And this is very tragic and dramatic and serious and important. It's just her daughter doesn't exist. And the rapist doesn't exist. And the rape doesn't exist either. And the child, which is the result of this imaginary rape, is not one that her imaginary daughter wants to take to imaginary term. And so now she's going to be forced to bear the child of her imaginary rapist, which also is not true. I'll let Megyn Kelly get back to this because it's safer for the channel if another woman who actually has children roasts her on this.
Talk about borrowed worry, fellas. Leaning us towards a world that is fearful. Yeah, 23 years old, no kids.
Remember that Rachel Zegler is a multimillionaire Hollywood star, or at least she will be until the new Snow White movie gets released, after which she'll be waiting tables, and she finds the world to be fearful. Because she is a multimillionaire living in the United States of America, she's in the safest place she can be, and she has no worries about any economy that might crash at any time. And while she finds the world to be fearful, during his first term of office of 4 years, Donald Trump created no new wars. He kicked ISIS's ass, and while he was out of office, illegals flew over the border freely and actually murdered little girls in the United States of America. While Rachel wants us to feel very fearful for her imaginary daughter now that Trump is president.
I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke with fear this morning. And I am here with you to cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace.
Ziggler had said that the original Snow White was backward and sexist and, weird and all the rest of that jazz back in 2022. So after Trump gets elected, she goes on Twitter and says that 77 million people, including their duly elected president, she wishes that they never know peace. Something like that is only spoken by an individual, which is a monster. This is the real Rachel Zegler. And not only does she have bold contempt for the real Snow White story, this is how she feels about other people and how they vote. It's not just that I don't like your president, I think you're all silly. She has to come up with something truly black-hearted and evil, saying, I hope you never know peace. There's more than enough reason to avoid this horrible remake of Snow White. It is irredeemable.
What the F? How? And then she discusses the deep, deep sickness in the country. There's no help, no counsel in any of them. She attacked Twitter and Elon and finished with, fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, Disney magic.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, Disney magic.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, Disney magic.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Man.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
That's the thing is, so Disney, this saga, like you said, goes back a very long time. So she initially comes out and Disney's first film that they ever won an Academy Award with was Snow White. It's beloved by, children and parents all over the world. And she says that that's actually a very creepy story. A woman doesn't need to be rescued by a prince, and just attacks the film that is the cornerstone of everything Disney's built. They have this PR move where she goes, she's like, no, actually, I love Snow White. It's a very nice story. And she steps in it again. And this comes at a time when Disney stock keeps going down.
Yeah.
And they're like, please, just do not say anything. And yet again, they can't moderate.
Simple. It's so simple. It's like we took all these beloved things that everybody loves and we ruined them, and we're shocked that we lost this election. That people, revolted against that.
Yeah, no, there are a variety of responses that come to mind when you hear her post, but it is music to my ears. And I'm not sure which part she's playing in Broadway's Romeo and Juliet, but I feel like that sets her up for a leadership position in the Democrat Party. And I would like to see her on a major party.
Totally. Of course she's Juliet. Of course. And they'll have no problem with this. Can you picture a Broadway actress who issued a post saying, F Biden supporters. May Biden or Kamala never have a moment's peace. That person would be fired so fast it would make your head spin. They wouldn't last one more minute.
When it comes to Rachel Zegler, she will be fired after this horrible movie is released and they find out what little is left at the box office after their investment has been squandered.
And you're going to put out a Disney film with Snow White, a beloved American character, with a woman who hates more than half the country, the half that just elected Donald Trump. This is an incredible pivot point right now. We'll see which way the woke Disney decides to go. It's going to put out this with this star who hates us, who's a woke Snow White. Like, they don't know what to do.
The Megyn Kelly clips have been a lot of fun. It is just that I want to give you guys as much backstory as possible. I'm still going to react to the official trailer. I just wanted you to appreciate why it is so bad instead of just me getting in there and just squawking about it. So you're getting a bit more backstory, and we're going to get into some more Rachel clips, and then we will get to it, okay? Just hang on.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937.
So what does that mean? Love no longer matters? A straight woman dreaming of a straight man no longer matters? Faith no longer matters? Whether you believe in God or not, Snow White believed that she would get her prince. belief of any kind, it doesn't matter. That's all old hat. It's like, hey, listen, it ain't 1937 anymore. Those things, they just don't count. It's all about girl bosses and being aggressive. We gotta set those things aside. That's why we made the movie. It's like, we want to promote these ideas, and we wanted to do it in a way that would make some money. So we just grabbed a hold of that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and you know what? We're gonna give that an update like you won't believe, and that's why we did it.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince. He's not going to be saved by the prince.
Listen to how proud and happy they are that they've written the man out of the story. She will not be saved by the prince. She's not going to be saved by the prince. These two, the principal actors of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remake, do not even understand the original story. She was a threat to the evil queen just by being there. She had to run away. She made friends with dwarves and animals in the forest. They protected her. And it was true love, faith, and everyone being good and never giving up that saved her. Yeah, he kisses her. She comes back to life. It's not so much that he fought an army. He just never gave up looking for her. And the dwarves never gave up on her either. It was true love and faith that saved her. It's not like he ran in on a horse and defeated an army. And, you know, it's just, these two, they don't understand it at all. It's terrible that they made this remake.
And she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Is that not sad? It's wrong to dream about true love. And instead, you should dream about being the leader that you can be. The thing is, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is, including dreaming about true love. They're ruining the story. And some of you out there might be LGBT, think I'm being mean, and I'm standing up for, you know, this straight love story, and they're trying to ruin it. Yeah, they are trying to ruin it. The thing is, everybody can dream about true love. Men, women, LGBT, straight, everybody can dream about true love. I'm not hateful or biased against anybody. The story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs includes dreaming about true love, and she got it. So they're using the name Snow White, and they're fucking with the story, and it's about this empowerment tale, which is fine. Strong women character is great. Gal Gadot on the right there, she played Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's fantastic character, alright? These two and the rest of the people that are running the Disney studio should just fuck off and create a whole brand new movie about this high-spirited woman who's going to take back a kingdom. My point is, they didn't have to ruin Snow White to do it. And you know what? They're not going to ruin it. This movie is a piece of shit. It's going to be forgotten quickly. It's going to go straight to Disney Plus where it fucking belongs. And we're going to remember even better the 1937 cartoon.
And the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
There is nothing wrong with a strong female lead character being fearless, fair, brave, and true. To anyone who wants to say, what's the matter? You don't want women in strong roles? No, they can be in all the strong roles they want. It's great to have heroic, strong, aggressive female characters. The more the merrier. It's just not Snow White. So, they fuck with the story. There's gotta be a scene in there somewhere where the father says, my daughter, you must be fearless, fair, brave, and true. I will, and I'm gonna go fight that queen someday. I know she's no good. It's not Snow White. So just start over. Why do they have to keep going back to something that everybody loves and fucking with it to get their point across and to make a few dollars? Why don't you be fearless, brave, and start a new story and don't fuck with something else?
And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
By the way, don't come after me in the comments for bringing politics into this. She's the one that went after Donald Trump first. And now that I'm raising that again, she never really apologized for what she said. Don't believe me? Well, I'm going to give you the whole thing, and it reads as if it was written by a publicist. Hi, everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I am sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow. Close quote, that's it. Now, what is she really saying? And you remember what she did say. Let's quote it, the first paragraph. Hi, everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. She's not saying that she said anything wrong. This is what, like an apology, like, I'm sorry that you feel that way for what I did. So I let my emotions get the better. She's not saying that she was wrong in what she said. Here, the next paragraph. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I am sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. When she's saying hatred and anger have caused... She's talking about Trump and his supporters. That's what she means. And she's sorry that she felt properly angered by what had happened, by him winning, and winning so much, that she put in her 2 cents. And she really let us know how she feels, which was, may Trump and those that voted for him never know peace, which is a horrible, ugly thing to say. And she said that, as they say, with her full chest, having thought on that comment for a good amount of time. She knew exactly what she was doing. It's like, fuck you all here, fuck you all there, and she's not taking anything back. This week has been emotional for so many of us. Yeah, Trump won. And she says, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. Oh, thank you very much. How gracious of you to allow everyone to have their opinion. She's still not saying she did anything wrong. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow. What the fuck does that mean? Does that include, wishing so much evil on around 77 million people? And you got a big Disney movie coming out too, and you just told them all to fuck off. I mean, you think me and my reaction is bad. What she said there was profoundly ugly and hateful. She didn't apologize for anything. It's like, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's not a real apology. That's really who she is. All those horrible things she had to say. The woman is a monster.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
Yeah, I know. You're saying this clip again? Everybody has played it like 1,000 times, and you're going to do this again? She says a little bit more after she goes, weird, and I want to address that. Notice that she says that, people think it's going to be some kind of a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie. I want you to note how much contempt she has for the idea of there being a man in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's it. So let's run this.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince, or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie.
There you have it. That is not CGI, and I didn't cobble that together from other clips. That's an unedited clip. She's letting you know that if you think there's any kind of love in this story, that you're a fool to believe in it, because just because we had to put a guy in it, that doesn't mean there's any love story. And she's so pleased with herself. That's the thrust of the project. Her and everybody else working on it, they had to take something beautiful and loved and ruin it and put it in its place to say, this is what Snow White should always have been, and this is what we're running with. And I didn't want to bring politics into it. You can properly hate this remake without politics, right? You don't have to bring... She's the one that brought politics into this, okay? So don't be, going after me in the comments. There's some things that I like about Trump. There's other things that I don't like. If you say one good thing about somebody, it doesn't mean you agree with everything that they have to offer. She's the one that raised Trump after he won. And the reason why she was so bold in standing in front of a camera and saying, yeah, I don't expect there's going to be a love story just because we had to put a guy in it. If the roles are reversed and it was a man talking about some movie and saying, well, I just don't think it's going to be a love story just because we had to put a woman in it, he would get lambasted by the mainstream media. So this is what the woke Hollywood evil cabal has been enjoying for a long time. They feel secure. Trump hadn't won the election yet. And so she feels confident in standing in front of a camera and boldly saying, hey, there ain't gonna be no love story and don't expect one just because we had to put a man in it. How weird. He stalks her. And that's how the extreme left operates. They tell lies and they play on emotion. The man did not stalk her, as I've proven in my giant analysis. It's a lie. He didn't stalk her at all.
Weird.
And she felt confident. So, of course, what Trump represents in part, some things I don't like, what he offers, in part, he represents at least a respect for traditional roles. And, of course, she comes out and says, may Trump and everyone who voted for him never know peace. That's the evil of this woman and everyone that she's working with, men too, who want to ruin something beautiful such as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There you go. There she is. Don't think there's going to be a love story just because we had to put a guy in it. There.
And maybe she finds love, maybe she finds friendship, but really what's important is that she finds her own voice.
Then please fuck off and go write your own girl boss movie. Show some imagination, some artistry, some creativity, Go get high, get drunk, hang around a White Tower in fucking Hollywood somewhere, and get your friends together and write yourself a fucking fresh movie, and don't go back and spoil and desecrate Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to make another fucking boring girl boss movie. I got nothing against strong female characters. I already said it before. The woman there on the right, Gal Gadot. She was a fabulous Wonder Woman. How about Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia in the Star Wars movies? She was a real pistol. Girl bosses are fabulous. Got nothing against them. Just don't go back and spoil Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and then offer it up, ruined, and say, whether she finds love, maybe, maybe not, she's letting you know she doesn't. Or whether she finds friendship, that's her letting you know that her relationship with the prince will be nothing more than, hey buddy, how you doing? And the most important thing is she finds her own voice. That's not what the German folklore tale is about. A girl boss finding her own voice. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the 1937 cartoon masterpiece from Walt Disney, is not about a girl boss finding her fucking voice. Fuck off. Just go write your own fresh movie. You want to show what bosses women are? Okay, then get together with a female scriptwriter and be a real boss and come up with your own fucking movie. Fuck off! Here is another clip because I want you guys to have everything, and you might as well because this is already so long. She lets us know she only saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs once. She just lets us know that she saw it. She didn't say that she loved it. She then went on the Disney Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs ride. She didn't like it, and that was it. Had no interest in it ever again. And then watched it one more time for the first time in like 16 years or something. Here.
I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years.
Even though we'll never really know if any actor in any production really loves its legacy, if it has one or not, People who are toxic narcissists really get off on putting everybody in their place after they get what they want. That's why she feels so free and easy to let it be known she's not really a fan, couldn't care less. And she gets to be the lead star of the remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I've got another clip for you. I don't know anything about the Shazam movie that she was in. And anyway, she gets asked, like, you know, what drew you to want to be part of this project? And she says, I needed a job.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes? I needed a job.
On one hand, you could say, so she's being honest. She's not a fan of it, and, you know, what do you want? Sugarcoat it? You want her to say she's a fan of this character and loves everything? It's that she doesn't have any respect. And the movie was a mediocrity. I just wanted to give you another clip of her because this criticism production is already so huge. And again, the worst thing that she's done is what she said about Trump and everybody who voted for her, because that shows what a absolute toxic narcissist that she is. And what I want to run this clip a little bit further is I want to share with you the Hollywood life in less than a minute. So here it comes.
I'm being so serious. I mean, a lot of people keep asking me. Hi, Adam. My agent's over there. Hi, Ken. My lawyer. My entire family is here. Hi, everybody. Sorry. No, I mean, the reality was we were in the middle of a pandemic and I was not working and I couldn't get a job for the life of me because West Side Story hadn't come out yet, and it was really hard to book work.
So you couldn't find any work? With you young and strong, you could have bagged groceries if you wanted to. So for Hollywood celebrities, their idea of work is give me millions of dollars for pretending to be somebody else. And I don't expect there to be any heavy lifting or, you know, a schedule to follow and a boss that I don't like. I have to feel something for this script. It has to be a good career move for me, too. If it's right for me, I might say yes to it. What I wanted to do with this clip is, you know, point out that she's got her agent and her lawyer there and everybody, and that's the Hollywood life. And I'm not the one that brought politics into this. It was her. And this is what failed with the Kamala Harris campaign, is that she aligned herself with celebrities, and now we know she actually paid them to get involved. And it was supposed to be, look at the rich elite telling you how to live when they don't have to worry about the price of groceries. And guess what? It all failed huge. And the mainstream media lying to you about how much support Trump had failed huge too. And it was the mainstream media which told, like, normal left-wingers, like there's people on the right, people on the left, and then there's these extremists on either side. And the extremists had infested the mainstream media, and they lied and said it was neck and neck right up to the last minute when it was not neck and neck. So they got furious because they were misled by their own woke media. And so what she does is she properly thinks out a furious reply, and she publishes it and says, for Trump and all who voted for him, may you never know peace. And that is what really lets you know how rotten and evil she is.
This woman is a pig.
And before you come after me and say, oh, you're a Trump supporter, I've already said I don't agree with everything that Trump brings to the table. People don't have to think in absolutes like that. Oh, you support him, or you supported Kamala Harris. You know, not everybody's perfect. And just reverse the roles. Let's pretend that Kamala Harris had won. And let's pretend that Rachel Zegler was a Trump supporter. And so she feels upset about it. And she goes on X to say, may Kamala Harris and all of you who voted for her never know peace. She'd be just as evil. So it doesn't matter who you support. To say something that horrible shows how evil you are. And do you want to go see a movie starring a piece of shit who's as evil as Rachel?
For me, so
now we're going to get to the third and final part of this giant criticism / reaction, which is the second official trailer for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that's been put out by Disney. And the first official trailer's got a ton of dislikes on YouTube, only a tiny amount of likes, and Disney is allowing the comments to be active so you can go there and provide your criticism of it. I guess they have to leave it there. It would be a scandal if they just turned the comments off. And if all the comments were being censored and they were mostly positive, while the dislikes are huge and the likes are tiny, that would not be proper. I'm rushing to get this published by March 1st, so it has 20 days to be considered before the movie actually gets released. So they are lying to you with this second official trailer, and they're trying to show great love and respect for the original cartoon, and they're trying to get you to believe that they're going to do a shot-for-shot remake of the original. It's just going to be a wonderful live-action update, and the story has not been fucked with, which is what they've done. So the first thing they're going to do, the magic shooting star that's going over the castle, they're going to make it go backwards. And so that's it, right? You know, so now you get it. They're trying to make you feel that they have great love for the original, and it's going to be like a loving, respectful remake, which it is not. So let's get to it. Guess what was not in the original trailer for this remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? There was no footage of the original cartoon in it, and now they need it.
The original Snow White didn't break the mold.
That is a director. He's no great artist. I don't know everything that he's done. He's made at least one Spider-Man movie, and what he's about to say there, I stopped him halfway through, is it didn't just break the mold. It created the mold. Now he's pretending to have reverence for the original cartoon, which he doesn't really have, because if he did, he never would have taken part in making this pile of shit. And given that there's so much CGI in this production, his directorial skills don't even come to bear, because the dwarves and all the rest of that stuff is all being managed by the people running the computers. So he doesn't even have a hand in any of that stuff. In the midst of what he has to say, they show you the cartoon cottage, and then they show you the updated cottage. So what he's trying to get across is that we are making a respectful, loving, shot-for-shot update of the original cartoon, and that's not what it is. So this second official trailer is just lying to you and doing damage control.
It created the mold.
That is what they're trying to get across. It's going to be a shot-for-shot remake of the cartoon that everybody loves. No. And I'll take the original Dwarf Cottage over this, because the original Dwarf Cottage pops. This is all CGI computer perfection. It's been lit using computer trickery, and I'm not. And the deer over there is another computer model. I'm not saying that you can't create good work using computers. It's just it's too much and it's too fast. There's no magic to this. And the next thing he's going to say is, somehow Walt Disney connects to something inside of us. Yeah. It's that special artistry and magic that this production does not have, and now they're trying to pretend like they're a part of it.
Somehow Walt Disney connects to something inside of us.
There it is, the original cartoon again, with the super cute squirrels drawn by human hands more than 80 years ago. They win! And the next thing he's going to say is, a kind of childlike wonder.
A kind of childlike wonder.
Yes, that is the real Disney Snow White. And when she connects with a bird or any other animal, she connects with it. It's not like Rachel Zegler. I'm going to take my best guess when you draw in this computer model shit after the fact. Yeah, that's why there's no magic to the piece of garbage that they just made. And even what he had to say there, a kind of childlike wonder. There's a gap there between childlike and wonder. So he's not even speaking that, properly. He probably just sat there in his chair. A kind of childlike, I don't know. What am I supposed to fucking say here? I don't know. Just do damage control. Childlike wonder. Childlike wonder. You don't believe me? Look, I'll run it a few times. You'll notice there's a strange gap in there. They had to piece it together after the fact.
A kind of childlike wonder. A kind of childlike wonder. A kind of childlike wonder.
You see what I mean? Even the trailers they make for this piece of shit are also more pieces of shit. That's it. That's Snow White. That's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And they desperately need it now to sell this pile of garbage that they've made. Let's keep going.
And optimism.
Here's another scene from the original cartoon, which they are then going to show you the updated version of. And before we move forward to that, let me draw your attention to the fact that the original cartoon, it pops. It's got soul. And then we're going to move on to the CGI everything, and it's all washed out, and there's no soul to it.
There's so much.
Once you build the computer models, you can do whatever you want with them. You can have them go through the motions a second time, adjust it a little bit. All of the lighting can be adjusted, because it's all being done by the computer. The color intensity, everything. It's just... once the models are built, you can just do whatever you want. You know, back in the day, they had a real artist draw it, and he drew it once. And that's why it still has strength to this very day. You can't improve upon it. That's not to say you can't do good work with computers. Yes, you can. The same. You should leave Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs alone. This is a piece of shit. It's washed out. It's got no soul either. And we're just getting into the middle of some comments from Rachel, where she's going to say, there is so much that we're taking from this animated movie and putting it into our own.
From this animated movie.
There she is. She's playing Snow White. Another woman's playing the evil queen, yet the overwhelming majority of people who are having anything to do with this movie are feeling that this witch is the real evil queen. And we're rooting for the evil queen to win for this one. So there's no more career at Disney, you know. We can dream. That's the only childlike fun that we're getting out of this production. Maybe the evil queen wins for this one. Okay, yeah, she says, oh, there's so much we take from this animated movie. Oh, now you have reverence for it. Ah, come on, it's a dated piece of shit, right? Let's remind everybody what you said. And you were about to say very dated. You had to catch yourself and say extremely dated. Here.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
That is how you really feel about it. Now you're sitting down here doing damage control. The Disney studios have to produce damage control. All right, sit that broad down and let's, Rachel Zegler, Snow White, tells you how she really feels. We love this beautiful cartoon. There's so much that we take from it and bring it into the original. And it's a wonderful love story. Snow White is a beautiful human being. And the world is cruel to her. And somehow she survives and triumphs. And that's why everybody loves it. And no, tell what you really think. Oh, the story is bullshit. It's dated. It's weird. The fucking prince is a weird stalker. Weird. Wait a minute. The prince showed up after Snow White was singing into a wishing well, saying she wanted to find her true love, and he showed up for 2 seconds and said hi, and then he sang a song to her and didn't put a hand on her. Oh, weird. I know. Let's run what she just said underneath this still of her. Let's do that. Hey, Rachel, how do you feel about the original Walt Disney cartoon?
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
That is too bad. Yeah, if only we could have found somebody who really loved the original cartoon and would like to have some respect for it and, you know, not somebody who just wants to shit all over it like you do. Wait. Did I forget what she just say? Did she just say that the original cartoon was, extremely dated? Is that what you said? Could you just repeat that?
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
That is disappointing. Oh, well. We'll let you get back to doing damage control and make sure that you tell lies about your reverence for that old Disney magic. Oh, the Disney magic, the Disney magic. Rachel believes in it too. Not at all.
That we have taken from.
There is the real Snow White, beautiful inside and out. Loves everybody and every animal. Okay, now I guess we have to run this monster, Rachel.
And used in our own.
It's Rachel Zegler. The hateful, venomous, entitled, spoiled brat who has what to share with us. Please, say something. If you voted for that person that I don't like, I hope that person that was elected and all the people who voted for that person never know peace. May you never know peace. May you never know peace. May you never know peace. Holy Toledo. That's one piece of evil witch. So they gave us a little something from behind the scenes to make it seem like there's more of a connection happening. Let's get the human side of this monster. I know what we're gonna do. How about we just put this on a tiny loop for a few seconds, along with weird. Do you know why she appears happy behind the scenes while making this garbage? Because she was satisfied in the notion of having ruined a lovely story from Disney's past. And back then, shortly before Trump was going to be elected, she thought to herself, hey, we're Hollywood, baby. What we say goes. And this is going to be what Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs means from now on. Of course, nobody cares what Hollywood celebrities have to say anymore, nor the mainstream media. And this Snow White movie is going to bomb instantly when it is released. So that's the fun part.
A lot of it with the design of the costumes and the designs of the
set pieces is what she was in the middle of saying. And again, they're trying to demonstrate some sort of strong link between the wonderful cartoon and the piece of shit that they've made. On the left, that is a castle drawn by human artists, and it inspires you and has your imagination fill in the rest. On the right, you know when you see the evil queen at the doorway, whatever the fuck it is? Yeah, they had to build that part. All the rest of this, what do you think? They actually built a fucking castle? No, that's CGI. It's an overdone computer model, and after they build it, as I've told you, they can twist it around any way they like. They can light it any way they want. The one on the left has got soul and it pops. The one on the right has got no soul and it doesn't pop. It just... the good stuff is on the left, the shit is on the right, that's it.
The set pieces.
And action.
First day I was shooting, I was a little nervous.
Note her body language. I think we could make this funnier if we added a fart, just as she is moving like that. Let's run it again.
The set pieces.
And action.
First day I was shooting, I was a little nervous. Because I'm doing something that is so iconic. All of a sudden, I'm the evil queen and I get to say that?
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
We started working on the different looks for the evil queen, and the amount of research that Sandy Powell, our costume designer, showed, it was like magic.
This is... Do you know who that is? No, they say it's Sandy Powell. It says Sandy Powell at the bottom right. You know who it really is? If you've made it through this, we're almost at 2 hours. I'll tell you who that really is. Are you ready? That's Jim Carrey playing the Riddler from one of the Batman movies. You gotta hit the like, okay? I'm not gonna make 5 cents. I worked on this for 20 hours over 4 days, okay? And, it's demonetized because of all the copyrighted material I'm using. Please hit the like button, even if you don't want to subscribe. Just hit the like button so it gets suggested for more people to watch it. Please, come on. That's... who else has done that? Just me. Just hit the like button.
Based on the original iconic look of the evil queen. And
the fact that this is the costume designer for the movie and she chooses to dress like this in her real life goes a long way to help you understand the mindset of the lunatics that put this piece of shit together.
I think it's a really striking look.
Wait, it's a human. What did you think I was?
They are running that same clip of the dwarves again for this second official trailer, and we already made fun of it. So now that we're almost 2 hours in, I think I'm pretty safe to answer the question. When she says, "Hey, what did you think I am?" They said, "A fucking rotten bitch."
Nothing. Ghost.
When you think
He's going to carry on to say, "When you think about Snow White, there's so much iconography going on. Yes, it's so iconic. The icons of the original film are so iconic." And, you know, these days everybody overuses the word iconic. It's like back in the day when people used to call every female singer a diva. And only a few female singers are real divas. You know, that's a female singer with a big personality. Back in the day, everything was the diva this, the diva that. These days, everything is iconic, when really they should be substituting the word famous. And for a movie of this significance, yeah, it's warranted to use iconic every now and then. However, be that as it may, he's only doing damage control. It's like, oh, there's so much iconic things going on here, all of which we wanted to fucking ruin because we don't respect any of it.
about Snow White, there's so much iconography.
There they go again. While this asshole runs his baffle gab, they show you one scene repeated, updated, to give you the idea that this is a loving tribute done live action style for the original motion picture, and we care so much about every aspect. And if you go to see this fabulous motion picture, you're going to be getting a 1-to-1 remake of the film that we love so much and have such reverence for. No, it's damage control. This is bullshit. You're getting something that's not even the original story anymore. And the principals, they've already told us they have contempt for the original production. So let's keep moving.
You're
bickering. She was in the middle of saying, "Your bickering won't fix a thing, so whistle while you work." And they fucked with the music so as to allow this horrible witch who hates the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs an opportunity to sing more, as she sings to a couple of CGI dwarves who look like scary mannequins.
You won't fix a thing, so whistle while you...
It would be funny, and it's okay to do this because what they've made here is taking away from the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And so if Grumpy were to take out a pistol and shoot at her feet, pow, 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 dance, Rachel, pow, 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 dance, Rachel Zegler.
Its place in history is very...
The director was in the middle of saying that its place in history is very specific and very powerful, and they wanted to honor it. All lies. Everybody who was in this production was taking a look at the original work of art and saying, yeah, it needs a reboot. It needs to be turned into a girl boss story. They have no respect for it.
very specific and incredibly powerful, and we wanted to honor it.
Whistle while you work.
It's an absolutely beautiful homage to a film that continues to mean so much.
An absolutely beautiful homage to a film that continues to mean so much to people, you fucking liar. You said it was extremely dated, and you referred to the prince as a stalker. What does a stalker do to a woman next, right? Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about it. That's how horrible you've been to this work of art that you're shitting all over. And by the way, close your top, you fucking skank. This is a Disney movie.
To people...
The story is fantastic. The music is incredible.
The real story was fantastic. The real music was incredible. Not this pile of shit you clowns made.
And I can't wait for the world to see it.
Yeah, Disney magic. Weird, weird. Disney magic. Weird, weird. Disney magic. Weird, weird. Disney magic. Weird, weird. Disney magic. Weird, weird.
When I started this project, this criticism and reaction to the upcoming Snow White, which is a horrible and unneeded update to the wonderful Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I didn't know it was going to last 2 hours. So it's pretty safe for us all to assume that this reaction to the upcoming movie is now longer than the movie itself. And as I said earlier, this is 20 hours over 4 days to produce this. So please share it with others. And please like it. I won't make a nickel because of all of the copyrighted Disney stuff that's in here. It can't be monetized. Please hit the like button. It's too much to ask to subscribe to the channel, you know. Please hit the like. And I'm tap dancing a little bit because I'm going to walk you down the garden path. We're going to end this with one more good joke. Please hit the like.
And I saw myself on screen and I just wanted to throw up